Welcome to Facing the Nation for October 27, 2023. Of course, it's always a privilege to be with you. And, when we get this program started, we always want to remind you, call up your neighbor, call up your friend, let them know that Facing the Nation is on. Of course, we're on Channel 6 and all our social media platforms, the People's National Congress Reform page on Facebook, APNU AFC page on Facebook, and the People's National Congress Reform YouTube as well. So call them up and tell them we're on. And of course, as always, the discussions here are geared to situations that are unfolding every day. And today, my guests, we will be zeroing on some of those issues in different sectors, particularly the education and labor sector. Of course, we may touch some other issues because so much is happening as we speak right now. So without further ado, because the time goes so fast, again, do share the page. All of our pages, APNU, AFC, the People's National Congress Reform page, and call up a friend and tell them that Facing the Nation is on. So I will go right into my discussion with my guest. Let me welcome today none other than our Member of Parliament, Ms. Coretta McDonald, Shadow on Labor, and she has many other portfolios, the General Secretary, the
President of the TUC.
President of the TUC and the GS of the GTU. All right. And of course, Member of Parliament shadowing Labour. It's always a privilege to have you here on the program.
Well, thanks for having me. I've been running for some time, but I'm here now.
Yes, you're here. This program is long overdue. It's been about a month or so we've been trying to catch up. So I'm happy that we're here to do so. Now, right into the discussion, because the time goes so fast when we start having these discussions. There is a lot happening. Generally, labor, the Ministry of Education, particularly, there has been lots of talks, and there are things that I want us to talk about. But before we go into a lot of that, I want to start out talking about, because we didn't get a chance to catch up and talk about the consultation, or should I say the so-called consultation that took place between the president and I guess they're calling it a bunch that should represent all teachers. And I mean, the most ridiculous outcome for me coming from that meeting is that teachers were supposedly claiming they want increases in allowance and not salary. Let's talk about that.
Well, Shanika, thanks again for having me on your program. But before I start, I want to say good afternoon to your viewers and all those who are listening otherwise, and those who will be listening to us after this program would have been completed. First, I want to highlight the fact that we're observing as a party cancer awareness, more so breast cancer. And if you notice my little pink ribbon in my hair and so on, I visited some schools this morning and I was part of the activities. And I want to remind us as a nation that we ought to, and this is for both men and women, because men too are coming down with prostate cancer, cancer of the throat, and
I've heard breast cancer as well, because we have the
This morning, the students, the pupils, as a matter of fact, at West Bromfield Primary, they were being told, the boys were told that men too are coming down with that breast cancer. And it's not because they don't have breasts that are protruding, but men have chest and they have the gland there. And so they too can suffer. So we want to caution the nation that we must endeavor to check on ourselves regularly. Go do your checkups. You know, it's a norm with us where we don't visit the doctors unless we get sick. And even when we get sick, sometimes we decide that we are our own doctors and we prescribe medication. And it doesn't work sometimes. And, you know, when you end up going to the doctors, then you find out you're at this stage or that stage. So let me urge us all to start, if you have not started doing it, to start visiting the doctor. But to talk about what we want to zero in on at this time, education, labor, health, all of us would recognize that this country is in a mess. We're in crisis. We're in crisis right here internally with every sector that is in shambles. And we are also in crisis with our neighbors, Venezuela. And so I don't know how the PPP is going to mumble out of this. And let me share this little one here. Yesterday, could you imagine the GPL's head office on Main Street had blackout? So you can imagine. Abnormal. You could imagine. And I don't know what Indar is doing and one Edgil. As a matter of fact, I heard a social commentator said the only qualification Edgil has, if he has that at all, is that of preaching. And we're not even sure if he has a qualification for that. But they are just a bundle of waste timers. Every day for the longest while, we are servicing generators. You must finish servicing these generators. At every budget sit-in, millions and hundreds of millions of dollars are approved for that particular ministry. And yet we have, I mean, I can understand the roads and so on that you're doing, even the crazy roads that you're doing. Because when you look at the condition of some of those roads, they just dab something on some of the roads and tell you, oh, it needs up a road. But don't talk about the monies yet to build those to put whatever they're putting on those roads. And that's why the roads are damaging, they're breaking up. But again, this country is in a mess. Every sector is in a mess. Right. And we as a people will have to find the solutions. Because at the end of the day, it is not only us, but our children and our grandchildren and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren who will have to repay all these loans that these bandits are collecting under the pretense of development. But, you know, I get very, very agitated when I have to speak on these issues because these are the people who, when they were in opposition, they condemned every single thing that the coalition did. And they had the answers for them.
And even the things that were working.
Yes. And now they were installed into government and they can't fix it. We are seeing a repeat of what happened 23 years ago when they were in office. As a matter of fact, we are seeing blatantly what happened during the 11 or 12 years that Jagdeo ruled as president. When he was president, we are seeing those happening here. And I don't know whether the president doesn't understand his role. But the vice president is up and about and making all kinds of pronouncements and even condemning pronouncements that have been made by the president. And so one wonders who's really in charge of this country? Who's really the president? Education. It is the lowest I've seen our education sector going. We have a system here where we bringing our people, whether your people qualify or not, you're bringing your people. So we have in the education sector, and I'm going to start with the schools, we already have shortage of teachers in classrooms. But yet we are seeing the departments of education pulling teachers out of schools and seconding them to the Department of Education. Now, if you have a shortage in the Department of Education, there's a program that was started, a cadet program that was started. put your ad out there and let people apply,
and
then you guide them through the process, whether the training process is going to be a year or 2 years or whatever it is going to be. You guide them through the process. Stop pulling the teachers out of school to create more confusion in the schools that we already have.
Yeah.
I mean, this morning, let me go to the agreement that the GTU has with the Ministry of Education. We have an agreement that talks about class sizes. And it stipulates in the nurseries, in the prime nursery and grades 1 and 2 in the primary schools, a certain amount of pupils. And yet you go into these same very nursery schools and you're seeing the numbers way above what was agreed upon.
Yeah.
That there is saying to us that it's because we don't have enough teachers, so we have to put more than 15 in a class, more than 25 in a class, more than 20 in a class, more than 30 in a class.
Yeah.
And it's overcrowding the classrooms, and it's burdening the teachers. But like everything else, teachers are committed and teachers do what they have to do without much complaint. While you would think that this government would be very appreciative of what teachers are doing, they're not.
It's very evident.
And it's evident because this government, they have not ceased to be any of who they are, and that is being wicked and vindictive. They've not ceased being that. And so they have decided that they're going to punish teachers because they, in their minds, teachers did not vote for them, or the majority of teachers did not vote for them. So they have decided they're going to punish teachers just the same way they're punishing other public servants. And when they're not punishing the teachers and punishing public servants, they're creating confusion in between there. So they're putting teachers against teachers. Hence the reason for the gaffe you saw at State House. It was not a consultation, it was a gaffe. And it was a waste time gaffe, let me say that, because the teachers who were handpicked, let me tell you what happened in region, on the East Coast in Region 4. On the East Coast, the teachers who attended that forum were teachers who were handpicked by one of my colleagues, and I can say this, by one of my colleagues, Dioraj Now, teacher who is now, he has some issues and he's on administrative leave. He was the person who handpicked those teachers, not the Redo. Dioraj, as a teacher, handpicked those persons from the Upper East Coast. And I guess the Redo acting probably said, okay. But my question is, there's a Department of Education. Why did you allow a teacher who you're having some issues with to handpick the teachers? There again, it is clear to us that the teachers who were handpicked were teachers who were prepared to go there and sit down and to say, we prefer to have increases in allowances. Mind you, I took offense to that because we had the Minister of Finance, or the minister within the Ministry of Finance, sitting there. We had the Minister of Labor. And that man is a waste of a man, let me say it. Joe Hamilton doesn't understand what he's all about. He doesn't understand what laboring is. So he can't labor for anybody. He sat there with the president and the Minister of Education and allowed teachers to say they prefer to have increase in allowances when they know that increases in your allowances, it doesn't add up when you're going to tabulate gratuity and pension. So it's a waste of time to have increases. And they did not correct the teachers, you know. They allow them to go and they're cheering them on like a pack of fools. But
we want to assume that's what they asked them to say.
Well, I would want to think so. Let me tell you about another region. Region 1. The teachers in Port Kaituma, there was no representation coming from Port Kaituma. The teachers in Mabaruma, no representation coming from Mabaruma. The teachers were handpicked again from Maruka. We had a child mother of Ganga Prasad who served as PS in education. I can't remember, I think he also served as a minister, I'm not sure. But the child mother of Ganga Prasad, I don't know what else you expect her to say. We had the sister of Caroline Rodriguez. I don't know what you expect her to say. other than to go along with what she was told
Whatever.
to say.
Mm-hmm.
We had there the brother, Anthony Harris. He was the brother of the RO in Region 1 during the 2020 elections,
That we had
where
all the issues.
all the issues when the documents were all soaked and so on and disappeared, the brother of him. And then we had Mr. D'Souza's son-in-law, who were all
affiliated to the PPP.
friends and families. So I don't know what you expect them to say.
Mm-hmm.
Other teachers who were identified, some were just called and they were told you have to come to a meeting to find, the president wants to find out how you're managing in the classroom. Some did not even know why they were going there. So I don't understand what kind of, according to them, consultation that could be. And that's why I said it was a gaffe. But the bottom line is the teachers who were there, they did not represent the Guyana Teachers Union. The Guyana Teachers Union, it has elected officers who were elected by the thousands of members that we have. The Guyana Teachers Union was not there. So it was a gaffe shop with teachers who felt that they could go there and talk about how they feel. And they want the president and them to talk to Digicel to get $1,000 credit for them in their phones.
Like, what
and so
does
on.
$1,000 credit do in these days?
And, you know, many times I would say the things that happens to us as teachers is what we allow to happen to us because we bring ourselves down. We don't know our worth. And so that is why the ministry could treat us the way they're treating us. That's why the minister could tell you this and the president could tell you that. And everybody could make rings around you because you don't understand your worth. And so the GTU has written the president. We would have written the Minister of Education. We would have written to the Minister of Labor. We would have written to the Chief Labor Officer, highlighting where we are in terms of negotiations. We recognize that we were at a stalemate with the Ministry of Education. So we wrote to Labor asking for conciliation to kick in. I recognize that the Ministry of Labor said they understand that we are talking. I don't know where is the Chief Labor Officer. Where is the PS Labor? I don't know where they are. Apparently they live in a balloon that only they themselves can see and hear and know what is happening. But we have moved to the level now of arbitration and we are waiting a response from them. But again, let me say to us, while the minister and the PS and the president and all of them will jump around the place to talk about Guyana tops again and Guyana top CXC and Guyana top in the Caribbean, they don't understand the kind of efforts and the sacrifices teachers make to ensure that Guyana continue to top. But they take the praises for it. And you know what I find very embarrassing and very disheartening and disrespectful and distasteful is the fact that when Guyana continue, we top all the time. But you never see the Minister of Education taking a bouquet to one of the teachers who would have carried those children through CSEC. I've never seen that happening. I've never seen a plaque given to a teacher except from the level of the Guyana Teachers Union. I've never seen it happening at the Ministry of Education. And if the minister and all our officers want to have people respect them, you know, if they think that people like them and people respect them, people don't like them and people don't respect them. What people do is tolerate them because of fear of victimization. People tolerate them when they come around. But if you want people to value you and take you for your word, then you should start commending teachers and don't only commend them with some crazy talks. Start commending teachers by offering them tangible incentives.
Like they're not doing for any of the public servants anyway. So it's a total disrespect generally to all public servants because even in the profession of health, we're seeing similar things happening. Total disrespect and everybody leaving.
I just saw an 8-year-old child who died.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that a thorough investigation is going to be launched because here it is, a parent is losing their child due to negligence. And you know, sometimes I while it's hard and you want to blame the nurses and the doctors, I understand sometimes the circumstances in which they find themselves. You got 2 doctors working a whole hospital. You got 8 nurses working a whole hospital, and sometimes they have to do a double shift, and nobody is concerned about what is happening with them. And you see, this government continue to go out there to push this propaganda message that we're doing well, and we're doing well. I just saw today, I think it was, the Minister of Education talking about, for the first time ever, well, she is, I would always relate to her as Columbus's sister. She's always the first time, always the first time. You know, I want to say something else, but I'm not going to say it to this program. First time, every time is a first time. It's the first time that we are graduating, I think 5,000 or 4,000 plus teachers from CPC. Yes, they're graduating from CPC, but is it quality you're putting out there?
Yeah.
When all of those teachers were suffering from 2020 to now, those teachers have been suffering. 2021 to now, they're suffering. 2022, the batch who go in, they're suffering because they're short of staff. They don't have lecturers to lecture.
Yeah.
They don't have enough materials to give to the teachers who are in training. They don't even have lecturers to monitor them while they're on teaching practice. So I don't understand this big gloat about the numbers you're putting out there. And this is what the PP is about. They always like to talk about big numbers, but they don't talk about quality. All they talk about is quantity. And hence the reason for the state of the country right now.
Correct.
Because it's all about quantity for them and not quality.
Definitely. You know, you talk about that there are schools that, you know, persons are still calling to complain after they had this whole talk, and the president even went into talking about getting chalk and who shouldn't do this, and you give them that. And you still have issues with lack of materials at school. I was talking to a teacher recently who said, you know, the classroom is extremely hot. Now, in 4 classrooms in a row, none of the classrooms have points. If they wanted to buy a fan to put in the classroom, they have nowhere to plug it in. Now, they said the person went into details to explain, you know, like a few classes before the head teacher area, they had a strip, and, you know, maybe 2 or 3 of them could plug in, but everybody else on the line, they can't deal with it. And, you know, they went so far to say, you know, at one point, she was feeling so sick, she decided, she told the teacher, the head teacher, if they don't rectify, because she had children in the class who were even like, you know, getting sick and fainting because of the heat, because we all are experiencing this extreme heat at this time. And she told them she's not coming back until they get it corrected. Well, and these are the kind of things that the ministry, through all these different channels, should be looking at, and nothing is being done.
But I don't know, maybe Priya probably went sometime to the University of IFLAT, because I don't know who are the persons that would approve the designs for schools. And the engineers that they have there, the contractors, as a matter of fact. Well, we know the story about the contractors. The contractors are all friends and families and favorites. And so it's like somebody was telling me the other day, and I have to go do my homework on that Priya got a whole set of trucks. And she doesn't like when I call her name, but I have to call her name. But these schools that are built, because of the weather pattern that we're having now, I would expect that contractors would be able to build schools in a certain direction. And they'll be able to put in their estimates the kinds of windows that would be able to allow much air to come into the building. I see them doing schools, and like you said, they don't have points. in the classroom there. Well, what we do, what we've been advocating is that in our schools we should have classrooms, separate classrooms. But because they're not doing that, and they're building schools, some of these schools they're building with large auditoriums, and you don't have the separation. They might have a point at the end, or they have a point at the starting, and that's it. And so it doesn't cater for the children who are in the middle. Hence the reason for children fainting, and teachers getting upset, and teachers not feeling well, because you can't do anything about the heat. The sun is there. You can't cover the sun with an umbrella.
Correct.
And these are things that I would expect the Minister of Education and her team to sit and look at, rather than going out there and victimizing a teacher here or a teacher there. Sit and look at these issues so that we can make school a place of comfort so that children would be able to learn. But that's not the whole idea. The whole idea is to, we're commissioning this building, we're commissioning this school, and we're commissioning that school. But when you commission those schools, I'd shown recently St. Gabriel's Nursery School, multi-million-dollar school, but yet the school was not ready because you had, the floor was full of dust, because they do, instead of putting, I'm just using these wildly, loosely, instead of using 4 sacks of cement to a wheelbarrow of sand, they probably use 2 sacks of cement. Wow. So when you did the floor was sandy, and all the dust blowing up and the children getting sick. Nobody, the big money's passed, but nobody tiling the floor. So when the children got sick, then you have to go get somebody now to come and tile the floor. Another set of monies you're paying to do that. Then you got to go, you got to go and paint the floor. Then you got to go now to dig out the wall that you've already painted to put in wire to put a point or 2 points there. And it's foolishness, because people, you see, the thing is, because we don't hold these people accountable, that's why they get away with murder. And they do all sorts of craziness. But I'm hoping that parents and civil-minded citizens are going to stand up against these things. I said on my program just the other day, I noticed, while yes, because of our nature, we feel sorry for the folks in Palestine and what is happening there, but we got our own Palestine right here. Our own Palestine we got right here, and we're supposed to come out and talk about these issues, but we're not coming out to talk about our Palestine here, but we want to jump to support Palestine that is way, way, way out of our reach. We want to jump and give talks about and support and call for peace. While it's good, we must talk about our Palestine right here.
We must talk about, that thing really disturbed me, I must say, because we have been constantly talking about the issues faced by ordinary Guyanese. Their livelihoods are being, disturbed and lost, and all of these things are happening. And you're begging persons to stand up and to talk about it, and nothing is happening. But the people who are at a certain level, for me, I felt so horrible when I saw them standing at the Square Revolution. that was the thing for me. Standing at the Square of the Revolution to protest that matter, when you have so many persons here.
No, you got said you got your own Palestine right here.
Punishing.
You got your own Palestine and Pharaoh punishing them.
And even beyond that, we are dealing with an issue with Venezuela, and these threats are coming forward, and nobody went in front of the Venezuelan embassy to protest that.
Nope.
Right at home.
Nope, nobody. As a matter of fact, we have an ambassador who was appointed, and I am not hearing anything from him. As a matter of fact, I showed just the other day that we were having when we started having all of these issues, we were having lots and lots of not rumors, but persons were sending us information all the time. Look, the Venezuelans are at the borders. The Venezuelan soldiers are parading in the rivers. The Venezuelan soldiers are doing this. The Venezuelan soldiers are doing that. But nobody from the government side was paying them any heed. And they were saying at one point, the government, the opposition, they like to use the opposition. The opposition is creating anxiety. The opposition is doing this. The opposition is doing this. When it was a fact that the Venezuelans were doing all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Outside of that, we have seen an influx of Venezuelans in this country.
Without control.
We have we have an advisor on national security. I don't know where he's securing. I don't know if he got any intelligence or he ain't got no intelligence or he ain't got no sense, but We ain't hear nothing from this man, and he's a military man, and this is Jerry Gavaya. Nothing you're hearing from him. I don't know how he advising the president. The president should put him in a corner. We have not heard, except for this morning, I heard a statement, an address, if it was an address to the nation from the president. The vice president always abusing every Thursday. You've never heard him said anything about what's happening. As a matter of fact, I saw a video circulating with the vice president, which said,
he was willing to concede
and give some corridor to Venezuela. That in itself is saying to you and to the nation that you're selling this place, you're selling this country out, you're selling Essequibo out. And, I'm hoping that our indigenous brothers and sisters who live on those border lines, and they're taking note that the PPP selling them out and the PPP giving away their lands to the Venezuela, because if he had any concern for the indigenous people, he would never make that statement. And so these people are not patriotic, and they're not concerned about the citizens of this country.
And that statement was done a while back. This is a statement coming from a while back.
Yes.
And what we are seeing, in my view, is a systematic move even by the government to condone certain things, because you're having this inflow of these Venezuelans where we know what are the issues. They're not being treated as refugees. They are being treated as migrants. Because you're allowing them to settle anywhere they want. You're not putting appropriate
doors, you're
giving them business
our monies, because you're building buildings, you're giving them food. And then, what is ironic about this thing and very hypocritical about this whole thing is that we got so many beggars in this country, and I don't see Minister, what's your name? Davy, shed social protection. I don't see her going out there. Vindi, Dr. Vindi. I don't see Dr. Vindi going out there to offer meals to the beggars that we got in the streets.
No, but they're building lots of homes for the Venezuelans.
But this is what I'm saying. And the Venezuelans are getting land, and they're getting all kind of contracts here and contracts there. Just now we can have a Venezuelan army in this country.
But outside of that, and these are all things that are building a ground, because then you have the President Boley, and you remember we talked about this when we met, I think the last time on the program, and we see where it is going, that he said that it is now compulsory for students to learn Spanish. When we have all these other neighbors that we have good relations with, Suriname and Brazil, we're not considering allowing our people to learn their languages. How many Guyanese go over to Suriname so often, and Brazil? Very, very often, because we have good relations, and you're not telling them, okay, learn that language, Portuguese or Dutch, but you want us to learn Spanish, the language of the people who are trying and doing everything to secure your piece of land. That is the language you want. I went to a PTA meeting for my daughter, and I told them, I said, the president, if he wants her to write Spanish, he will pay for it, and he will come and teach her. Because, you want your children to learn foreign language, etc. It's a good thing, but the way it is happening, to me, is the issue. And then they went further with the police here, and it is really, really, really not a good look. I wanted,
just before you go to the other one, I've taken note that we have not, as a people, and I'm saying we here, police force, the Ministry of Home Affairs, I don't know what they're doing, because these people are flooding this country, and nobody is screening them. Nobody is finding out whether these people got military training, if they got this, if they got that, nobody is asking these questions. But I took note that when the Haitians came here, they were held overnight, and then they were deported. They were even passed through court, and they were deported. But we got the Venezuelans coming, and we're doing nothing about it. And we all know the reason why, because this PPP government, they recognize that quite a lot of their supporters are leaving this country. And so they are bringing the Venezuelans to use them to vote for them. If you notice, there was they passed they made that they've passed that the Venezuelans could go and get birth certificates, and you must admit the children into school, whether they got document or they didn't get no document. They must be admitted into schools, which I don't have a problem with that. But we must be able to screen these people. And we must be able to monitor these people. Look, everywhere across this country you go, they got Venezuelans. Anywhere in this country you go, who is monitoring these people? And the thing is, we have to be careful because there's a group coming out of Venezuela that they call the Sindicato group.
Yeah.
And there are lots and lots of them in Guyana. So when we might be looking forward to saying that, oh, Venezuela might strike on the border, we are going to be surprised because it might start right internally somewhere in Georgetown, somewhere in Linden, somewhere in Berbice. And these are things that we have to be mindful of. But this government don't care. You know why? Because I'm sure all of them got a visa that they could jump on a plane and fly out of this country. But the ordinary man will have to face whatever the consequences is or are.
I think that is the major thing with that right now, because everybody's, they're looking at it however they're looking at it, and that's it. Another issue I wanted to raise in terms of the this borders between, I guess, the region and the education ministry, or however it's done through the ROs. But of recent, they have been, again, we're having complaints about persons who haven't been paid for a certain period, like some of those contracted teachers. Then we're now hearing this week, I literally received 2 calls from persons who are considered sweeper cleaners. And I was actually looking for the post that the minister made when that complaint was actually made on, I think it is Melly Mel's page, where one of the persons actually, and she posted it. And she talked, at that time, the person was talking about the increases that were given, but they did not receive them. And the minister went, as she usually does, she loves to go to her page and make things personal. And she stated that she made a call to the ROs the night before last night, according to the post. And, it will be corrected and they will get all their monies and the retroactive, etc. And then the pay period comes, and none of these persons have been paid, particularly in Region 4, and I'm hearing Region 3 as well.
Well, this is simple. In the regions where the PPP feels that persons did not vote for them, they have decided that they're going to discriminate against those persons. In Region 3, there might be a few persons who have not been paid, and those persons, if you check it, those persons are APNU, AFC, or the coalition agents who have not been paid. The same thing is happening with the, if I can go back to the regularization of where the president said he's going to regularize teachers' salaries and all kinds of things. We're getting lots of complaints all over this country from our teachers who are saying to us that in some regions, a certain grouping of teachers are paid and another grouping are not paid. A certain grouping would have had their salaries regularized and another grouping, a part of their salaries regularized. And this is what the PPP are about. Every day, they strive to create confusion among the ranks so that they can divide and rule. But I just want to tap in a little on this Venezuela issue, because this thing is a serious issue. And I want to commend the leader of the opposition and the opposition supporters and other citizens of this country, because the leader of the opposition has decided that this matter with Venezuela is not a political matter. It's a national matter. It's a matter of national interest. And sometimes I have to laugh because our friend Ali or Irfan, whatever is his name, our friend was saying he was not going to reach out to the opposition leader because the opposition leader needs to confess his sins, and he didn't shake his hand. So I'm wondering if when the opposition leader met with him on Tuesday, if they had shake hand pass, I mean, this guy is so silly. You talking about a shake hand and a shake hand. And Irfan is so dishonest because there was one issue where the opposition leader did not shake his hand. And I thought that the opposition leader was right when he did not shake his hand, because that was the day when they were having, that was Emancipation Day. And you can't be oppressing me and my people and you want to come and shake my hand. How you hear it is at all?
Madness.
But I was present at another occasion when the Guyana Conference of Seventh-day Adventists had the opening ceremony of their what you call it again? I forget the thing. It's so bad.
The convention.
They were having their conference session. And at that forum, Mr. Ali came across and he shook the leader of the opposition's hand. He shook my hand and every other member who was sitting there in the front seat with the leader of the opposition, all of their hands were shaking. But you know what? His cameramen didn't take that. Or they took it, but they didn't publish it. And so this kind of dishonesty with Irfan and his people is a whole mockery. But I want to say, the opposition leader, as a leader, decided that this is a national issue and we will work with the government on this issue because Guyana is we own. But you know what? The Jagdio and the others, Ben and all of them, you notice they put police here on our vehicles. I am hoping that somebody will drag that thing off. And I want to say to the Commissioner of Police acting, you have a second chance to prove yourself, sir.
Correct.
Take that foolishness off of our vehicles.
Yeah. And
you ever went to Venezuela to see a police mark on any one of those people's vehicles? I mean, you go everywhere across this world. As soon as you see a police vehicle, you know it.
Correct.
So you don't have to put any foolishness on it. We are an English-speaking nation. Take that nonsense off of our vehicles. And you know, when you say certain things, they would want to say, oh, you're inciting and you're inciting and you're inciting. But it's taxpayers' money.
You started by inciting to put it there
So we can take it off. We can take them off. You need to take those things off of the vehicles. Outside of that, I want to say, the president, Mr. Irfan Ali, should put Barajagio in a corner and let him have nothing more to say on this Venezuela issue.
Correct.
Because the fact that Barajagio, who is there and said back then that he could concede and give a corridor, it means that he has no interest in Guyana. In addition to that, Barajagio, who is the man of business when it comes to the Natural Resources Ministry, allowed 211 million US.
240.
Well, he bring it down to three, says 211 million gone. 211 million US dollars to go down the drain. And then they push poor Gosai in front to say, is Gosai do it? And watch what we got. And watch what we got happening. Teachers, regular public servants, for less than that, they're getting dismissed. For less than that, they're getting suspended without pay.
And
here is it.
15 days.
Well, the question I want to ask is, I want to see if he's on contract, what is the contractual arrangement they have there with regards to his salaries? If he's a permanent staff, I want to see which salary scale he falls in between, because I want to know if that 15 days, no pay that they'll give him, if it's equal to or a part of or close to the 211 million US dollars. You know, those monies could have been used to pay teachers, to build proper schools, to build proper hospitals, to rehabilitate the hospitals that we got and have proper you go around the place, Bartik ain't got no lights. They got to move the dead from the mortuary. They got to put...
And you're putting one Guyana signs in
all
blind spots.
All over the place, you know? And I'm
instead
saying,
of addressing the issue.
These people are not serious about governance. These people are only serious about filling their pockets. What they started 23 years ago, they want to continue to do that. And if you think we're lying, you just look at some of the ministers that they have. They just turned ministers and look at the mansions that they got. You tell me where they work from. But I remember one minister back then said when she had built some big houses on the East Coast, she said, oh, family and friends and so on used to send monies in barrels for them. So I figured these setes, so now they get in monies coming in barrels. Yes. But we must be able to investigate our ministers. We must be able to call them out. Just the other day I saw Amina running away from a couple of the things, but as they come, I'm talking about it. Just the other day I'm seeing again brown water coming through your taps. I met some GWI staff in Sophia just the other day, and they're saying to me, the toilets, they don't have toilet paper in the toilets. The toilets are not working properly. You can't even get a bottle of water or water coming from a fountain or something in a GWI head office there. I don't know what Sheikh Bash doing with all these monies. I don't know what Susan and Colin Kroll doing with all these monies. I mean, these are basic things. And when the workers make any noise about it, you want to dismiss them. You want to suspend them. You want to deduct monies from their salaries. And you got Gosai there who you dismiss. I mean, if we
on that point, I like to say, and we understand why you didn't dismiss him, because we know that you're holding him as a scapegoat. Instead, the person that needs to be dismissed is Jack Dio.
The persons who need to go is the two Barretts.
Yeah,
the two Barretts must go. Well. Vikram and Barajak Dio. The two of them must go. There's no need to ask any questions.
Correct.
$211 million million US dollars you allowed to go down the drain. And it's just not even a tap on the risk. Not even that. And you got these two men still monkeying themselves around. Something is definitely wrong. Annette Ferguson was a big scandal they had with Annette Ferguson because she got a gold brooch from her ministry. David Patterson, because he got a gold ban. He's before the courts. And they claim some bed sheets and something. If you add that, it didn't come up yet to 1,000 US or 2,000 US or 5,000 US. But here is it, you got a man with 211 million US. Viewers, citizens of this country, you've got to open your eyes and you must come out in your numbers and allow Irfan Ali to know that these kinds of nonsense will not continue to happen. We will not condone these things. Wells upon wells, they're digging all over the place and people getting brown water. You turn on your pipe, slime coming out to the taps. What we really doing in this country? And we talk about the Dubai of the Caribbean and the fastest growing economy. Well, I guess it's the fastest growing economy for all those contractors
the field.
Getting 3, 5, 8, 9 contracts at one time, the ministers and some of their families, and well, of course, their friends and so on are the contractors. But don't forget, you buy Dotiman Nandalal. He just get big contract. I see that just get big contract there where his son's name is featured, but his address was used. So it's all about all of these corrupt people in a little coup by themselves who collecting all the wealth of Guyana. But I want to say, while we're going to touch on education again, let me start advocating Barrett Jagdio, Vikram Barrett, Joseph Hamilton, Juan Edgil, Jerry Gavaya, Mark Phillips, Clifton Hickins, Omar, Priya Manik-Chan, Kwame, all of them, we'll send them. No, we can send them on the front line. Let them know that one time that you are going to be part of the Guyana National Service and you're going out there on the front line to represent this country. You're going right out there to represent this country. Well, me by Mark Phillips, I know we there. I ain't hearing nothing from me as an Army General. I ain't hearing anything from him.
He hasn't had any conversation in this whole
I ain't hearing nothing from you, Todd. Partly they tell you don't speak. As a Minister of Foreign Affairs, you're not hearing anything. I was listening to a speech from LFS Burnham. You see, we always got to call the name of this man. He was a champion. He was a leader with vision, and he had love for this country. As soon as the Essequibo issue started coming up, and he mentioned it in his recording, in his address to the nation, they heard about this issue a few days ago, somewhere between Ankoko side there, and right away, he sent military senior officers to find out what is happening there. And he's updating addressing the nation to update them on what is happening. And he's reassuring them that the president and his government are about you, and we will ensure that Guyana stays right here. But I ain't hearing that from the folks. And again, let me say, Marshall Montano, I thought that by now I would have heard a song coming from him because he's a friend and a favorite of the president. I thought I would have heard a song coming from him in representation of Guyana. Because they're pushing out Jomo and all of them, Kwesi and all of them, they're pushing out, then bringing them to do any jobs or so. But they're bringing Marshall Montano, they're bringing Sean Paul, they bring this body, and our local artists are right here. Mia Mortley, I ain't hear any statement coming from her, but I see she sent a statement out for in support of Palestine. I saw that statement, but no statement for Guyana. Where is Ralph Gonzalez? Where is the white mouth man from Jamaica? We name no, the former Prime Minister Golden. Where is he? Well, I can't talk about the other one because the other one dead. I can't talk about he, but all these people should be sending out statements, and all the ambassadors, A, B, C, D, E, F, G ambassadors, they should be doing statements in support of Guyana because they came here and they had a whole lot to talk about during our elections process. Now that we seem to be under threat from Venezuela, y'all should come and talk about it. But back to education, as we were saying, I saw coming from President's College mildew bread. Well, you know, President's College is it's like an abscess. It's like a eyesore. It's like I don't know what for the PPP. And if you were to check every channel or as we go along, you will see every institution that has been created by the PNC or by the coalition, the PNC, the PPP seek to destroy it.
Correct.
So President's College was the school of the nation. They've brought President's College down to a regular flat school right now. Regular school. It's not even an A-list school. It's an ordinary school where any child can go to that school. So they're not paying much attention to what is happening at President's College. Hence the reason for the overcrowding and all these things at President's College. Now you have the President's College there. Subventions are given to President's College to cater for every child that is living on that plant. And so I don't understand who are the persons that are manning the kitchen. I mean, I am sending my child in your care. If my child drinking sugar water at home, when my child go to President's College, I don't want my child to drink sugar water.
Correct.
Let my child stay at home and drink sugar water. And to know that people's children are at President's College and at 9 o'clock they can't get breakfast yet, and then when they see things turn up, it's mildew bread they're getting. The Minister of Education should go home. She should go.
Correct.
The Minister of Education should go home. This should never be allowed to happen in our country. Even more when we have oil now. And I'm proud to say that under the coalition, we never had that. Never had that. Under the coalition, we never had students and pupils being given Kool-Aid in a cool-down bag to drink. Never had that. Happened. And so I want folks to understand. You pass and look at the cultural center and see the condition of the cultural center. But you know what? Burnham built that. So they ain't got time with that. You pass and look at the Independence Arch. They don't have time with those landmarks and those institutions that were created by the PNC. The only thing is that if they could have broken down the Demerara Harbor Bridge, they would have broken it down. But they can't do that because of the thousands of citizens who are going to suffer if they do that. Hence the reason for them building a second bridge. Of course, we understand that the life of the bridge is so much, but it has outlived its time and is still useful. And so we can do work to help to upkeep that bridge, but we want to do we own thing like we did with the Berbice Bridge, where we drained NIS to build the Berbice Bridge. And then on top of when we finish draining NIS, we want to kill ordinary citizens now because of the toll that they impose there. But I'm thankful again to the coalition, because the coalition brought the amount down that you had to pay 2,200 and so on. The coalition brought it down somewhat, and it's bringing some relief to the people, not only the Barbicians, but the people from Demerara and Essequibo who got to go there if they're going to Suriname or they want to visit their families in Region 6. This government, again, it is not about the people. This government is anti-working class. It is anti-ordinary people. And citizens must understand that. Sometimes I sometimes get worked up, but I would allow it to slide sometimes. When I see we have clowns who come on our programs to be educated and they make foolish statements, you must go and tell Barrett Jagdeo, ask him what happened to the $211 million US. Those are the things you got to ask him. Ask Barrett Jagdeo where he got money from to build a house in Prado 1, and then he got a bigger one in Prado 2, and he got all kinds of business all over the place till he renting place to sue and he can't find sue. You must go and ask Barrett Jagdeo those things. Ask Irfan Ali, why is this government discriminating against people? Why up to now some people still got pink slips? Those are the questions you must ask, rather than coming on these forums and making your stupid remarks. Go ask Jagdeo. Ask Mark Phillips why during his tenure as army chief they had rat poison in the rice. Those are the things you must ask about.
Correct.
You must go out there and ask them why they kill Orin Boston in Essequibo, why they killed the boy Bacchus on the East Coast, why they killed the boy Headley, what happened to the Henry brothers. Those are the things that you must ask them. Ask Barrett Jagdeo why he wanted to give a corridor to Essequibo to Venezuela. Those are the questions you must ask them. Don't come on these programs to make yourselves fools.
Well,
matters of importance, you must be. Well, I guess it's because they're mentally lazy and they're fed through their ears and all over, so they can't read and spell and see for themselves.
All right. We are basically out of time. And, we talked about a lot of things. We didn't get to finish all the issues on Ministry of Education. But no, the issues that we discussed are extremely important and relevant at this time, because I think the issue of Venezuela takes paramount to anything that is happening, because this must be a major concern to all Guyanese, to call the government out, to ensure that they're doing the right things. And, I continue to call on our viewers and our supporters. We are the persons who have to hold the government accountable in every single area. If we do not hold them accountable, we are putting our own lives at risk and that of our families and our children if they're allowed to just do as they like. And I liked how you started out by saying the truth is Guyana is in crisis in every single sector. What we are seeing is crisis proportions on issues. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to address the real issues. So they send the president around to dance, to go and walk in a few Black communities and shake some hands. But yet still, the policies that are coming, and I'm not sure I'm supposed to call them a policy, because policy has good formulation and procedure. We're not seeing this with the government. The things that they decide and wake up in the morning to do are not benefiting these people that they want to parade around. Every now and again, they go into this community or that community. The charade that is being run, but the real issues and the problems are not being addressed. And we as citizens have to take responsibility for it.
But Shanika, don't let's forget, Barrett Jagdeo is a failure. Barrett Jagdeo, let me say, is the doctor of doom. And as champion of the earth, he's a waste of time. I don't know why he's got that title, but I'm hoping that he's going to use that title to go on the front line. And because you know what they're going to do? They're going to send our little boys and so on who are in the Guyana Defense Force and so on. They're going to post them to the borderline. But like I said, I got the whole GNS line up there with Jagdio, the two Barretts and Mark and all of them. They can go out there. But we must not forget, Barrett Jagdio as president rolled out the fiber optic cable. You remember that?
Never came to fruition.
Barrett Jagdio as president built the Skeldon Sugar Estate.
Nothing.
Barrett Jagdio again as president, the one laptop per family. And so
We know
all
nothing
of these
about it.
projects, these are just three. Failed. So Barrett Jagdio is no good for this country. And Orphan Ali must realize that as president, if you want people to take you seriously, you got to get rid of Barrett Jagdio. He's no good.
I never going down the line, MP, because he as well have proven himself to be just as same. Because all these other issues happening, you haven't come out, and in fact, we haven't seen your certificates. I don't ever want to know.
Well, you see, I don't want to go to the certificates because people can perform without certificates. There are lots of people who can perform without certificates.
And the 19 fraud charges.
But the thing is, we have to continue to remind our people that the PPP has failed at almost everything. Somebody always got to come to smoothen what the PPP have done. I see Priya Manikchan went and she commissioned, she's a commissioning lady. I don't know why they don't name her commissioner. Commissioned the dorms at Lenora. I want persons to know, our viewers to know, that the dorms at Lenora, they are projects
of the
that were already laid out there by the coalition. The monies and everything were approved.
By the
so it's just that we didn't have the time because they robbed us to go and commission that building. But I'm hoping that when that building would have been commissioned, that we don't have another Mahdia happening there. That you have smoke detectors, that you have water sprinklers, that the poor Guyana Fire Service, that Ropes and Ben ensure that they have working fire engines, that the hose are proper, that the firemen got the proper gear so that they can go out there and do what they have to do. Because every time we blame them, we don't blame Ropes and Ben. The other thing I learned today, a couple of days ago, I know we're running out of time.
We're out of time.
The barricades that I see the police force putting up all over the place, you know, these people own them, they're renting it. What are we as a nation doing about this? And millions and hundreds of millions of dollars are approved in budgets, in supplementary budgets, and all kind of budgets. These people coming back. Ropes and Ben, you must account for these monies. You must tell us what you're doing with these monies. All these barriers you see them having there, they are being rented. And again, friends, favorites, and families getting the contracts. They're the ones who bring in those barriers. Why can't the Guyana Police Force buy barriers that they would need? Requisition and buy the barriers. I mean, these things are disgusting.
Yes.
They are disgusting. And the police force getting a whole lot of monies. I hope y'all gearing up the Guyana Defense Force. And you're going to pull in sheriff security, and you're going to pull in the Red Beret army or squad that are here, Jagdio, the foreman. You're going to pull all of them in as backup. I hope you can pull all of them in. I mean, when you say these things, they're saying you're politicizing these things, but we have to talk about them because hundreds and billions of dollars are approved in budgets, and we see nothing. On the sports, millions of dollars, billions of dollars on the sports, and yet the children, we saw the children in somewhere in Region 1, can't remember where, but they have to use the river and put rope to make that the place for swimming so that they can qualify for the Nationals Athletics Championship. The children in Linden, they ain't got no sporting facility, no ground that they can carry on their athletics sports. So,
but and right in Georgetown, I went to the zones. And you had at the zones, you having relay, and the children are passing plastic bottles. They don't have batons.
Again,
who
education, sports, all these monies. I figure Charles Ramsden taking them and he probably going and buying massive vehicles because I know all of them going buying they're doing car business, they get truck business, they get all kinds of business.
Hundreds of trucks.
They get building where they're renting to Teleperformance, all kinds of things happening. But these are the issues that I'm hoping that as citizens, we will ask the ministers of government, just the same way you were rushing the ministers of the coalition down to account for this and tell us about this. And I mean, look, Annette, my colleague Annette got a house lot there. It's in quarter of the size that Barajagio got. And is everybody make a big noise about it? You know, so it seems as if only one set of people must acquire land and buildings and own properties and bus services and all kind of thing. And the other set must not have. But let me close by saying, education again is in crisis. I have seen buses that were named the David Granger buses. Those buses were there because David Granger's president on his birthday, he decided that he was going to do for the children of Guyana. So he did. He had the 5Bs project. And I have seen those things that those tokens were given to him as birthday presents. They weren't taxpayers' money that were used to buy them. But I've seen this wicked government take those buses and they're using it to do all kinds of party business. That's one. Two, they got some that they just sabotage by, rather than throwing diesel into the engine, they throw gasoline. If it's a diesel engine, they throw gasoline. If it's a gasoline engine, they throw diesel. And they got those buses. If you go to the quarantine, now you're going to see one big one parked on Adventure there. Not too far from the police station. If you go to Rose Hall, you're going to see one. And these buses were there to transport children. Free of cost and to get them safely to and from schools. But these buses are now parked up in corner, grass growing on them and all kinds of things happening to them. And Irfan Ali and his people are saying that they care about the people of this country. Which set of people they care about? The 3 Fs. The friends, the families, and the favorites. Citizens, take note. This is our country. Guyana belongs to all of us. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to parade that on our vehicles, our Facebook pages, to send a strong message that Guyana is ours. Essequibo belongs to us. Essequibo is we own. And we ain't giving up not even a blade of grass.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for being on the program today. You know, we had a lot of things, and as usual, we don't ever get to finish all the things we want to talk about. But of course, the program is always open to you so that we can continue these conversations. Before I go, of course, I made my statement. We as Guyanese, we must take part. We must speak out. We must hold the government and our institutions accountable for the things that we're seeing that are happening and that are wrong. And there are many ways as Guyanese that we can do so. So I want to urge you to ensure that you're part of the process to hold the government accountable and not just look at your politicians, but you as well have a responsibility. On that note, I want to make an announcement. I think last week as well, I would have put up the video, the flyer there. You know, these are initiatives that we must support because these events as well helps us to garner revenues that will help to bring on projects and different things that will help and bring socialization and all of that as well, you know. And so tomorrow, right at Congress Place, there will be what we'll be calling an oldies dance starting from 8 o'clock. On the 28th of October, which is tomorrow. That event, the entrance is just $1,000. You have quite a few one-man bands that will be there. I think you will have Genesis, you will have Big Man P, and let me see if it's up there. Yes, I'm not seeing clearly. Who's the other one? The Blue Ribbon and the Boss. Genesis one-man band, Big P one-man band. It's an event that will be, you know, a nice calming, lovely event in the evening. Come out, support the initiative. These initiatives helps us to help the citizens and to keep the information out there as we hold the government accountable and of course seek to put them out of power come next election. So tell a friend, tell a neighbor, come out, let's relax a little. There's a lot happening, and of course sometimes you need to just unwind and relax. So tomorrow night the place to be is Congress Place from 8 o'clock. There'll be parking as well in the compound. Come out and, have some fun. Bring a few friends and let's enjoy it, So once again, viewers, I want to thank you for joining the program today. Next week, I want to see you same place, same time, 12:30 to 1:30, Facing the Nation. Continue to remind your friends that we are on these platforms. Follow our press conferences, follow Advancing the Cause on Wednesday nights. I think it's on Saturdays. You have the Elson Lowe's show,
Sunday.
And Sunday you have Nation Watch at 12 o'clock, the lowdown on Saturday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., Advancing the Cause on Wednesday, 6:30 to 7:30, and Nation Watch on Sundays, 12 to 1 o'clock. Follow us and, keep abreast with what is happening. I want to thank you once again for viewing today. Do have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you tomorrow. I got to go upstairs to this meeting.
Doesn't mean we didn't come for. That's
Garnish.
looking